Do you have a brilliant startup idea? Visit our website at eapla.com to schedule a Blue Couch meeting and launch your startup journey today.
All right, another episode of On The Cusp. I got my co-host, Matt Snyder. I'm fired up. We had a cup of coffee or two here before we brought on Greater Bossier Economic Development. Rockett is our guest.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, It's been a while since you and I talked, but What is the Greater Bossier Economic Development Foundation?
Greater Bossier Economic Development Foundation was founded in the late 70s. Jody Wagner actually founded our group.
My wife's uncle.
Your wife's uncle. So Jody came back with a concept out of Congress to organize an economic development foundation to kind of encourage job growth and tax-based growth and all the fun things that go with economic development for Bossier and Bossier Parish. Set us up a different board of directors, set us up as a separate IRS designation, and we've been going since the late 70s doing that. I'm the fourth director of this group, so it's been some really good leadership ahead of me that I have been beneficiary of, some good planning and some good thought that went into this
Absolutely.
group.
It has been a lot of fun. Because I know for me, you and I have done multiple opportunities together.
Yes.
Probably most recently, Chasing Aces.
Yes.
That's one that we did together when John Dudley.
Awesome.
That's a great win. That's a great win for all of us.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. When John Dudley walked in to you and you went, we got to help. Okay.
Yeah.
We came together. And I was just telling somebody recently, things have never been better in our view at the BRF than they are right now in terms of collaboration among all of the economic development.
Absolutely. Between BRF, GBEDF, you've got NLEP, you've got the Port of Caddo Bossier, you've got other organizations, even the city of Shreveport, Bill Sabo and his group.
Yeah.
You've got some really good partners out there. Committee 100 is really starting to move into the market too.
They are.
There's some good things going on. Good people, both chambers. It's really a good
With
time.
some major wins.
Yes, with some
Major
really strong
wins.
wins. And more to come. Obviously, in the nature of economic development, you can't be talking about all the new things that are looking at this area.
Right.
But we are getting a good bit of attention from, the data centers were very big wins. But even prior to the data centers, we were getting a lot of manufacturing wins. We were adding a lot of jobs. There was a short period of time in economic development world, things that keep me up at night is, do I have enough bodies to fill some of these jobs? And luckily, we've been recruiting a lot of good people into this market.
That's an interesting question. We always have that. And on the workforce, I say workforce is not an issue. You bring the opportunity and we'll make the workforce.
Amazon, when they first came to the distribution center, not a problem. We manned that thing up. The sawmill, plain dealing, worried about that one, manned that thing up. And here we're talking about the data centers, manning those things up. Already have resumes out the office to try to get in there.
I was really impressed when you guys had the recent meeting about the data centers where you had all the you brought in all the local businesses around there and started building relationships with all the local businesses. Cool. How do you get work out of this?
Right.
That is incredible.
Right.
That means a lot to those smaller businesses.
The fun part about that is it actually is, that's to me the community buy-in. It shows the community what this is the ROI on bringing something to this market.
Right.
That's right.
If
and
none of that works, gets to the local guys,
it's not worth it.
I think that's really tough.
That's exactly right. It's hard to justify when, restaurants, hotels, existing restaurants, not new opportunities, but it helps existing business, shops.
I get that part, and that part's awesome. But I also want, some of the builders, some of the big checks.
Yes, they're becoming, and so you'll have the, it's very similar like Haynesville Shale for a period of time.
Right.
There's a lot of residual in this market from oil and gas.
Big time.
Period. Right.
Yeah.
But the initial drilling factor goes in, and you have those dollars go into the market, and then those dollars continue to stay in a different form.
Right.
So I think we'll see the same thing in the data centers. You're going to have,
I do too.
significant, but the construction programs on these are 5, 6, 7 years long. It's
Absolutely.
Not
not like it's going to be just done in 60 days.
The absolute just size of them is unbelievable.
Yeah, they're
really
extraordinary. They're extraordinary.
Well, hey, this is the second
segment.
time. Yeah, that's one segment of what we wanted to talk about today, and we could go the whole time.
Yeah.
Right,
okay.
Right.
But this is the second time we've done a remote filming, and we picked you.
Thank you for having us. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, we're using your facility. Okay, so we're kind of liking this.
You're welcome anytime.
But there's a lot going on with the boardwalk.
Yes. Yes.
The pickleball court.
Yeah,
yes.
There's a lot of rumblings. Like,
Yes.
what
A
can
lot of
you tell
rumblings.
us?
You gotta help us, man. What's going on over here?
The pickler's fantastic. If you hadn't had a chance to go by and take a look at it, go by and take a look at it.
We're leaving here. We're going to walk.
It is
Yeah, yeah.
amazing. I will walk down there in the mornings and it's full. I don't know who these folks are. I'm glad y'all are here because I don't play pickleball. But
We need to figure that out.
That's a lot of
though. We
activity in
need
the
to
morning
figure
for
that-
me. But I'm very happy it's here. The gentlemen who've made their investments here and chose our location here, very good choice. Appreciate that. They like what we're doing. The restaurant's coming up, so that's going to be a really good win. It's associated with that, the brine, and I think there's going to be a few other announcements here made in the near future for Boardwalk. The Simple Church made some good investments. I think we'll see some
did.
other restaurants coming to the market.
I've seen some people using their facility
Right,
too. So
right.
if you're looking for a facility, you need to, it's available.
Boardwalk's available. We've got a lot of good space ready to go. The city's helping us doing a lot of infrastructure work, meaning some things the open container will help out. That'll help kind of create some synergies between our Boardwalk and casino partners that have some walking space in here. So I think that there's some other plans that are out there that we'll see probably toward the end of the year that will kind of create more synergies between the entirety of East Bank, the casino market, and what we have here at Boardwalk, all the way Chasing Aces.
That's
Hasbro,
big.
everything
That's
like that.
big. Because,
Yeah.
let's face it, guys, retail has changed.
Retail has changed. It has changed. And it's very interesting you said that, David, because I went to the International Council of Shopping Centers meeting last summer. And to actually get an idea what the retail market actually looks like in the country, okay? Confirming suspicions, confirming fears. The market has changed, yes. But there's a threshold now, meaning you'll buy online up to, let's just say $800. You'll feel confident at $800. After that, between $800 and about $1,200, this is what the experts are saying, you kind of take a risk, and you're willing to take that risk. Whether or not what you're getting is fake, whether or not your wife wants to have some bougie shoes or some kind of fun purse or something like that. But once you get up there, past that, then you have to have a shopping experience. So I think that some high-end shopping experiences are what is going to be the draw going forward.
That's what you're seeing across the country.
That's correct.
Too.
Right.
These areas, and they're outside.
Right.
You're walking, and the Rolex store is outside facing instead of in a mall.
That is correct. That is
like-
correct. They're individual storefronts. And
Right.
they want their own individual storefronts. But they're not, like a market of ours, they're not going to have 10,000 square feet. They might have 800 square feet.
Right.
And limited inventory.
Right.
So, but it works. And frankly, our market, if we take a step back, and part of the challenge is we are so into it a lot of times, we don't take a step back. We draw, and I think the break point is about Canton, Texas. Canton will shop this way coming east versus Dallas. And then you have everybody this side of Jackson, south of Little Rock, north of Baton Rouge. If you have that draw here, they will come here. And I actually have the data
I've always
to
said
back that
that.
up.
It's
always said
incredible.
that.
When we started Tinsel, our shopping event that I do on Line Avenue, we've done it for 11 years now.
Great event. Really
And
is.
when we started it, we were like, oh, we'll get our friends and whatever.
Right.
And very, very quickly, East Texas just dominated it.
Yes.
And I think I get like 800 shoppers a year right now. And there will be over a quarter of those from Texas.
Yes.
Like 25%, 200 shoppers. And that really opened my eye to how many of those people are coming over on a day-to-day basis, really.
Right.
You know?
So, part of the gig that I do is to kind of look out for different avenues of opportunity, right? And I can account, I actually have it on paper, that a third of our airline departures originate from East Texas buyers.
Yep.
A third of our hospital patients are East Texas. And from credit card receipts for a period of time in this shopping district, we can actually talk about a third from East Texas also. So I want to increase our actual MSA to include
I wish we
somewhat
could.
of East
I've
Texas.
looked into that.
Yeah.
But because it crosses state line, they won't let you include that.
I went to
but-
D.C. and made the case for it.
Yeah.
And the Office of Management Budget, who oversees census, which I didn't know all of this detail at the time, and it's because of different county lines in East
That's
Texas.
correct.
And so it would be a lift, but it's a lift. I think the conversation continues to do that. Now, what's the benefit of increasing our MSA? It allows for bigger grant monies to the airport, bigger grant monies in road and road.
Well, if you
DOT
go to the
structures, things
airport
like
and
that.
you drive down through there when you're trying to park your car, Texas, Arkansas,
Yes.
Louisiana.
There's no question. I mean,
There
you can
is no
tell.
question.
I mean, you can see
Exactly.
it.
Yeah,
exactly.
And,
Exactly.
yeah, hey, I always give the airport team a shout out everywhere I go. They are
Huge
working
Yes,
hard.
they are working hard. Larry and his team are doing a
They
fantastic job.
absolutely
Yes.
are.
Yeah.
They're not getting enough credit.
That's one of the biggest, like, last 10-year improvement things.
Yes,
I
Matt.
mean, that's huge.
Look, no community succeeds if you don't have a successful airport, period. So the more that we grow that airport and the more opportunities that team is taking on, the better off we all are. I actually think that some of the airport improvements have landed some of the opportunities we're seeing today.
Oh, wow.
Truly, I really do. And I think it's important because that's our first, that's our first
It
handshake
is
in
the
our community.
gateway.
That's right.
Without a doubt, it is the gateway. I
Yes.
just wish we could get a Shreveport to Washington direct. And I know a lot of
Stand
people
by,
are
man.
working it.
We're working on it.
A
Stand
lot of
by.
people are working it.
Yeah.
Okay. But I think that really needs to be the case.
Yeah.
I think if you did that, and if nothing else, for the Barksdale gang who
Yeah.
are flying back and forth anyway.
It's you've opened that Pandora's box now. So we've made the case to several of the airlines, and I've been in those conversations. Part of their conversation is outside of Barksdale, what drives that traffic, and we can talk 35 to 40 different businesses who have direct needs to get to DC, not just military.
That's correct.
So that makes our case for us.
and I don't care if it's Dulles.
No, Dulles is probably going to be
Dulles.
Well, to be honest with you, we're concentrating on Dulles
Yeah.
because, sadly, I think in the conversations I've had in the last 6 months, National will reduce flights after that crash that
No
happened
doubt.
over
No doubt.
the Potomac, and it's been a problem for them.
And the
they
metro
understand that.
runs all the way to Dulles. So
You have a metro.
What's the difference?
Silver Line goes all the way through there, and so you can get
Yeah.
to DC Center on the metro.
But it is not hard, even having to connect,
Right.
to fly from Shreveport to anywhere in the country.
It is not
I mean,
hard.
I've flown to Seattle, I've flown way northeast. You're 4 or 5 hours
That's correct.
and there,
That's
anywhere
correct.
with a changeover.
That's correct.
I've been stunned how quick you can be in LA or you can be in
So-
New York.
To that point, Larry and his team have been concentrating, and the Raza group and Tim Wilhite and that group have also been concentrating on hub locations. Yes, Dulles is a priority. That is something we're going after. But we're not going to shoot down, low-hanging fruit if you get O'Hare or if you get LA. But those are hub locations, like your point.
Yeah.
Dallas, Atlanta,
Yeah.
Charlotte, all these direct flights we have, Denver, we can get on a plane there and then hop over to Frankfurt.
Right.
And hop over to, somewhere else in no time. And we can be somewhere in 6 to 8 hours.
It
From
is
this market-
easy to be anywhere in the country.
And right, and what I
It
just
is.
said is not really what I'm looking for. I said I can be somewhere. I can get them here,
Right.
easy.
Oh,
And that's
yeah.
the point
Yeah.
I need to make.
Yes.
So I can get the LA guys here. I can get the DC guys here. I can get the New York guys here. I can get everybody here. With direct flight's ideal, one flight past that.
Right.
So that's an easy choice. And 90% of the flying public does have a stopover somewhere.
Yeah. And
Everywhere.
you see it. I mean, when you walk through the airport and you see where the planes are going,
Right.
there's a lot smaller places than Shreveport
Right.
being flown
Right.
to.
Yes,
Right.
absolutely.
I know way too much about airports than I wanted to. Part of the challenge is there's not enough pilots in the country anymore.
Well, that's a different issue.
And the actual equipment is not large enough to fly, say, from Miami to Chicago, because they have a bigger, they have more airplanes available that are to Atlanta than Chicago than you have from Miami to Chicago.
Did not know that.
It's a fuel issue.
So that's why these huge airports are becoming so huge. These hub airports are just so huge.
Yes.
Because everybody's flying into them.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So what's next for Bossier?
We got some fun things in the pipeline. We got a handful of things, both in the manufacturing area and distribution areas. Some retail. I mean, it's some other areas outside this boardwalk, but growing markets in North Bossier and East Bossier and the Houghton area. There's some real opportunities. And I think.
Oh yeah, my daughter and her husband just bought a house in Houghton, and they love it.
I mean, it's
Houghton
really
is
going
like,
well.
you
Yeah.
never heard anybody talking about Houghton.
So when does
8 years ago.
what do they call it? The East Gate. When's the East Gate going to open? up?
I'm being told that it's on the DoD side at this point.
Right,
The
it's
state and the
all on
locals
the-
have completed all of our requirements to get to and they are doing. I was told first quarter of next year. So on the DoD side, they're adding new barracks. They're adding. It's not just the road in; it's a whole lot of other infrastructure that they're putting in there as well. So that contract is underway, and so the other things that go along with that are in
Yeah, the
play,
Houghton's going to
but-
blow up.
So what's going to be interesting is Houghton is going to really blow up because I think the whole traffic pattern is going to change.
I do too.
And so I think everybody's going to be moving a whole lot
Houghton all the way to Minden.
Yes.
Okay, you're going to have people that want to go that way.
Yes.
And there's some good schools out there.
more. Very good schools. I'm going to shout
right.
out to Bossier School Systems for having the vision to go ahead and make those investments. Halton High, the middle schools out that direction, they've already done a lot of bonding programs that have built new schools to accommodate some of that anticipated growth.
A lot of industry too, because how many people have we talked to about Camp Minden?
Oh gosh.
It's never ending. People always come to us, and they want to talk about what's at Camp Minden. Can I build? Can I do this? And I'm like, hey, that's pretty good. I mean, that black powder company that's out there, I can't remember the name of it. They're growing. Yeah. They got a huge project going out there.
They had another big contract last year.
Yeah. So, I just did a meeting with a Rockett engine manufacturing company, and they were asking about Camp Minden. And I'm like, never thought I'd have a discussion about rocket science, at the BRF. But hey, here I am.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
I am.
Well, I've had those same conversations between that, additional black powder, hypersonics, anything that requires a large area to test and work on. Camp Minden's ideal for it. And it solidifies another relationship with the DoD, Department of Defense.
Does.
And it really gives an opportunity.
Even when somebody came in with the wind tunnel idea to test the hypersonics, there's only one place you could do it.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Camp Minden. It's already it's available.
It's already certified.
I'd love
site
to
do
have
that.
a Mach 10 wind tunnel.
That'd be cool, wouldn't it?
Wouldn't it?
That'd be cool.
Oh, you would think it's an airplane, but it'd just be somebody testing a hypersonic engine.
Right. Big warehouse. A lot of noise.
13 years ago, I never thought we'd have this conversation, but now we're having these conversations with these people on very technical defense-related industries that are game changers for communities.
Fuel systems, sound systems, height, the actual thickness of the concrete when it vibrates, what's going to crack, what's not going to crack. I mean, there's a deep conversation. So, you're right. 10 years ago, these are conversations that we'd like, boy, wouldn't that be fun to talk about?
Yeah.
Here, it's like, okay, we
yeah,
got to
now we're actually
what is the
working,
rebar size
we're
inside that
actually
concrete
working to make those real.
Yes.
Making, North Louisiana the spot of choice.
Yes.
Which I say all the time. We've never collaborated like we do now.
No.
And I'm talking about from Monroe to Shreveport, Ruston, Minden, all of that.
Very much. So, I think it's very much that we have to pull ourselves up a lot of times by ourselves. I'm not being offensive, and I think everybody understands this, that, we and our South Louisiana brethren have two different, what's the word I'm looking for? I guess mindsets of how we do business in some ways. We recruit a different market. We recruit to a different market. They recruit to a different market. We don't have quite the waterways or the ocean accesses that they do. So a lot of our product comes in different mechanisms. So how we work together is how we recruit and bring projects. The states are our partners. LED's our partner. The governor, his office are our partner, obviously. But we have to actually do a lot of our work ourselves. We've been well known for that, going back 25 years. And you can see some of that. And again, I said that a while ago, I'm the beneficiary of GBEDF's leadership, but we're the beneficiary of a lot of other leadership in this market. How many other places you have two loop systems already in place? That planning was done in the 60s. The actual inland port that we have was done in the 70s. We have a lot of opportunities here that other markets don't have, that we're able to sell, that we are sitting on and have to give shout outs to people who planned before us. Now, I'm getting to that age where we need to be thinking about what are we going to leave for that next 30-year generation and what happens after that.
Okay, so every time we've talked to an economic development guy, and I think you're the perfect one to do this with, we always talk about what's coming and what's happening.
Right.
But I've never done this before.
Okay.
I want to hear the pitch.
The pitch.
When you're talking to somebody in Maine or wherever,
right.
What is the short elevator first time you get them on the phone?
Depends on the time of year. How much did you shovel this morning to get out of your house?
Oh, I get
right. So, gosh, it's cool out here this morning. I know it's middle of July, but being in the 50s is tough. What does your workforce look like? There's a lot of things. I'm being kind of joke about it, but truly, the things that we win at and we really do well at. Okay,
give me those.
We actually have competitive power.
Yeah,
okay? We have a competitive industrial power rate that really does very well for us. We actually, and there's maps that show this. We have tremendous amounts of water. And I know water is a big topic with the data centers and so forth, but we actually are in the watershed that collects almost every bit of rainwater that falls out of Oklahoma, Arkansas, East Texas, and a good chunk of what goes over towards East Arkansas, and collects this way. It all flows kind of into a point right here.
Okay, cool.
And there's maps at Red River Waterway, and there's maps at the LSUS Center that show this.
So we are strong power.
I have abundance of water.
Strong water.
I have abundance of power. I have a river and I have a way to get inventory in. So if you have material that needs to come in, I have a very inexpensive way, whether it be by water, rail, or truck. I can get this here. And I can get it from the port of New Orleans, port of Houston, or a port of any other choice on the southeast that can get here by rail or by water within a few days. And that's competitive prices associated with that. So I'm also, I've got a proven workforce. And I've got a training workforce. And I have training programs through LCTCS
I say that all the time, man. I've never, anybody that ever picked, North Louisiana,
right.
We've always delivered on the workforce.
Right. And LED's workforce development program has been number one in the country, going on 10 years at this point.
Yep.
So that speaks for itself. I can put money into that program and not cost you, Mr. Owner, a dime. I will train your workforce. Now, it's got to be a company that's got an ROI for me to do that, but I can do that. So water, power, workforce, inventory, and I can get your product out of here the same way I bring your product in to make it.
I'm sold.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
yeah, that's
just,
I'm an
we've
easy
just never
sell.
done that with anybody.
No, it's interesting you said that. Nobody really does. But there's other things that go along with that. Okay, and this is another challenge. This is a challenge. Okay, that's great. What does my families that work for me do? So what do they do in the off hours? So then I got to talk about quality of life, and then talk about what we offer as a quality of life. And then we talk about education. How are my kids going to get educated? And that's why we work so hard to make sure our education systems are top tier. So I mean, it's a whole level that the conversations are.
How quick does it get to that cultural quality of life?
Honestly, very, very quick, be honest with you.
Yeah.
I mean, it depends on the part of the country we're talking to. So
Right.
there's always, unfortunately, a stigma associated with the South. And so once you get over that, which is, what does your education system look like? Because I hear y'all are in the bottom of the list in Louisiana. Well, that's
We're not anymore.
depending on the statistics, we're not anymore. That is
We're
correct.
not anymore.
But we are not, we can shout that to the
We're
rooftops.
not in the top 10,
But the
we're not at the
reputation,
bottom.
the reputational challenge to overcome that still has a few years to go.
It does.
Yeah.
And so we got to keep selling that point and keep talking about it.
And we
And
got to
then we
keep
talk about-
investing in education
Correct.
is what we have to
Correct.
do.
Restaurants, food, celebrations, all of our Mardi Gras parades, all the other, all the events that we do in the market, those things sell us. And that's what bring families and create that
And this is where
synergy.
Matt and I get into that same discussion. I keep saying you keep getting the wins, the people that are coming in that demand those type of cultural community things, they're going to make sure it's here.
Right.
They're going to bring it.
Right.
Yeah, I don't agree with that, but because they haven't. If that's the case, then it would all lasted. The GM plant would be 10 times as big as it was, and it'd still be here because all those people went out after work from the plant and created the greatest cultural thing. No, the economic guys need to be the economic guys, and the culture guys need to be the culture guys. And you got to fund and you got to support both of them. You can't support one side of it and expect the other side. That'd be like if I was sitting here, I would never sit here and say, we don't need economic development, guys. We just need to focus on the culture, and the economic development part will take care of itself. I don't believe that in any way, and I don't believe that the economic development guys are going to fix the cultural side. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of money going into the cultural side, and it's just not being spent well.
Not to be in the middle of y'all's argument, but there is a
But you
significant
Yeah, you are. You're dead in the middle of it.
I do agree with Matt in that it has to run in tandem, and I'll tell you why. There was one statement made that has my attention to go to your point, okay? Huntsville, Alabama. Huntsville, Alabama, the Huntsville Arsenal, Redstone Arsenal. And it's something we've tried to model some of our cyber innovation, the National Cyber Research Park, all of that after, right?
Yeah.
How did that start? Where did that come from?
Oh, it
Warner
started.
von Braun.
Yeah.
Warner von Braun was brought after World War II there to create the rocketry programs that the United States used, both going to the moon, the Apollo programs. Warner von Braun's background was as a German scientist specializing in high propulsion missile development, right?
Mm-hmm.
When the Chamber of Commerce met with him in Huntsville, Alabama, they asked him what it is he needs first. And this statement's what he said. I need a symphony and I need an opera, because that's what recruits the talent I need to do what I have to do here. If you think about that, that's the quality of life that he needed to recruit the other scientists to do what he needed to do to develop the Apollo programs.
And off that, that's the perfect. Shreveport did that. Shreveport went and had the symphony and the opera and the big things
ballet.
of that day that were the drivers.
Yes.
But the world's changing.
Yes.
And what people are looking for from a cultural perspective is different. There's not the 45, 50-year-old guy that owns a company. I'm going to say most of them aren't huge opera fans anymore. They are going to see Guns N' Roses. They are going to big music festivals.
Journey's coming to town.
They are going to eat at,
But that opens up another box, okay?
Yeah.
So part of the gig I do is also exit interviews.
Right.
Or getting reports of exit interviews. What it is, why are you leaving? What it is that's not to your liking in our community.
Yeah.
Okay? And there isn't one silver bullet.
Right.
It's very strange in some of these exit interviews, and they're not just one or two, they're like 20, 25, depending on the ages. We don't have mountain trails to go hiking. Well, I'm sorry, there's things I can't do.
Kallenberg's he always says, Matt, we're never going to have mountains or oceans.
Right.
Yeah,
But it comes up, and it's like, okay, what else do you want? We need a bigger single scene. Okay, tell me what that looks like. Tell me what you're looking for in a single scene. And it's either, Austin or Fort Lauderdale. I can't do both. I got to figure out what it is that works for us.
Yeah.
The challenge is we haven't figured out what it is that works for us.
That's right. That is the thing.
Yeah.
And I would argue that in all this, it takes money to try things, to figure out what works for you.
Sure.
And the funding on the cultural side has not been there. And so most of the people that you've seen make these tries, some very successfully that are changing our culture, the restaurant scene is a great example. It is done. It's all private money.
Yeah.
These are people like me taking risk of their own dollars. They're not getting supported. And we, now as we've gotten a little older and some of us have been successful and we're doing things in other markets and meeting people that do this, they are supported.
Right.
And they do have funding from the cities and the parishes and the organizations and the tourism bureaus and whatnot. My argument has always been like, we've got to have the economic development guys helping put some pressure on the cultural side, getting some support. Mm-hmm. Because they know it's important, but so far we've just mostly been like, we need John Dudley to go do it, and if he does, and if he kills it, great, we'll all celebrate it and we'll use it as a way to drive people in. But if he fails, we'll send John Dudley down the road, tell him, say that we thought it was a terrible idea to start with and move on.
Right. Well, that's an interesting, Matt, I don't disagree. Economic development in certain segments is a whole lot easier than trying to identify what culture is. Whether it be a restaurant, or whether it be entertainment, or whether it be dance halls, or whether it be a single scene, or whether it be just, axe throwing, or, pickleball, or what have you. Where do you belong, and can you create a box like we have for industrial manufacturing?
Right.
So how do you do that? It's going to require somebody to take that and put the thought into it, and to put a package to the legislature, I guess, so forth, to kind of say, hey, how do we encourage or enhance somebody's private dollars to go into cultural events?
Yeah, and my big thing that I think is the starting point is there are funds going to organizations. And I'm not bashing the organizations. I'm just saying that maybe we need to question these organizations. Maybe we need to have some pressure on these organizations. Say, hey, whoever you are, you've gotten $5 million for the last 30 years. That's $150 million. Mm-hmm. Let's look at the results of that $150 million and see where it's gone. And are we happy with the cultural development over that 30 years for $150 million?
So there is an audit for economic development. If you tell me that you're going to create 75 jobs and you want an industrial tax exemption,
right.
So I will do an annual audit to make sure you're doing what you said you're going to do.
Yeah,
but
that's what needs that. I think you find the
right.
buckets of money, wherever they are. If it's the Tourism Bureau, if it's SHRAC, if it's whoever it is that's getting large amounts of grant dollars that are supposed to go to culture.
Be a metric.
And let's audit it.
Right.
Let's see, let's look at it and say, okay, if you're getting $5 million, how much of that $5 million is getting to the cause?
So I think we're at a point where that's going to happen. When you look at the data centers and all the jobs that are coming in beginning this year, okay, they're going to drive that and they're going to demand that.
Right.
So I think you're going to see it. It will happen.
I don't think that I'm right that there's no money that is here for culture. I know there is money being put there.
Yeah.
My question is, how is it being spent? and where is it going? And
So here's something we started out with this, Dave. From a synergy standpoint, we talked about how we're all working together. And, me, you, NLEP, but that's for economic development. Everybody. Right, but that's all bringing jobs to this market. There's one common goal to try to bring jobs and try to bring investment, right? Each individual cultural event has a different group of people doing it. You don't have everybody collaborating.
I would say that's because the people that are supposed to be have been the people. When you started this, you said, we've gotten better at working together.
Right.
The people that have been in charge of that for a long time and still are, they're not looking to bring everybody to the table. They're keeping their
They're siloed to the extent.
Yes.
And we were siloed 20 years ago. We were seriously siloed 20 years ago.
When we started all this,
That's
we were
what
all
has to
siloed.
happen. And I think that's what I'm screaming for without knowing that I'm screaming for it, is for all those buckets to come to the table, to invite the people that are taking the risk on their own money into the room and let them, and not treat them like threats.
Right.
But get them in and get them involved. I think that's what we're all asking.
I think that's a great place to end.
Yeah. It's a good
Thank
plan.
you, man. This has been good. We've never gone this long. Okay.
That was a blast, man.
Good stuff, guys.
Yeah, I love that.
Appreciate y'all having me.
Dude, thank you.
Thanks for hosting.
Yeah.
Heck.
Enjoy the podcast? We would love your feedback about today's show and who you think should be our next guest. Send us an email at info@eapla.com. Also, be sure to share the show and leave a comment on our social media post.